In the Quran, Allah describes himself as a sovereign of infinite power and knowledge, the absolute ruler and controller of all. Despite this immense power, Allah embodies justice and mercy as He declares, "Say, O my slaves who have transgressed against themselves, despair not of the mercy of Allah. Verily, Allah forgives all sins. Truly, He is oft-forgiving, most merciful." However, there is one sin that even the most merciful does not forgive, which is shirk, the act of associating and including so-called divinities with Allah. This act violates the very purpose of our existence, which is to believe in the oneness of our Creator and to worship Him alone. The Quran explicitly states that Allah is the Lord and controller of everything, no matter how small, which is clearly stated in the ayah, "And with Him are the keys of the ghaib. None knows them but He, and He knows whatever there is in the land and the sea. Not a leaf falls but He knows it. There is not a grain in the darkness of the earth, nor anything fresh or dry, but is written in a clear record." To include others along with Allah or divine qualities, whether living or dead or any object, implies that someone else has the right to be worshipped, invoked, or given the qualities of Allah. It means they have power to do that which belongs to Allah alone. This is the essence of shirk, whether a person is conscious of it or not. Verily, Allah forgives not the sin of setting up partners with Him, but He forgives whom He wills sins other than that. And whoever includes so-called divinities in worship along with Allah has strayed far away. In the Quran, shirk is the claim that someone or something can share in Allah's qualities or right to worship, whether that be invocation or the ability to act within a divine capacity. Yet they have taken besides Him other Allāh who created nothing but are themselves created, and possess neither harm nor benefit for themselves, and possess no power over causing death, nor of giving life, nor of raising the dead. Allah clearly states that ascribing divinity to any of the creations or expecting a benefit from the creation, whether they are His chosen messenger or holy men, dead or alive, no one has any power to do anything. The fact that you believe they can do something for you constitutes this great sin. The Quran expresses this point clearly. O humanity, a similitude has been coined, so listen to it. Verily, those whom you call besides Allah cannot create even a fly, even though they combine together for the purpose. And if the fly snatches away a thing from them, they will have no power to release it from the fly. So weak are both the seeker and the sought. And who spread out the earth for you and built the sky? Who sent water down from it, and with that water produced things for your sustenance? Do not knowing this, set up rivals to Allah. Shirk, the act of ascribing divinity to anyone or anything, which are only creations of Allah, stands in stark opposition to our fundamental belief of Allah being Lord of all things, King of all dominions, Creator and Sustainer of all things. He has the power of all things. Nothing happens without His command. Allah warns us repeatedly. God does not forgive the inclusion of entities with Him. Anything less than that He forgives to whomever He will. But anyone who includes entities with Allah has concocted a tremendous sin. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ emphasized this point. He said, "The biggest of the great sins is to include others in worship with Allah." The first instance of shirk arose generations after Adam ﷺ, when people began to venerate pious individuals after their death. Ibn Abbas narrated that the idols worshipped by the people of Nuh were righteous men before their death. However, after their passing, statues were built on their graves as reminders of their piety, which later generations began to worship. These idols were the same idols worshipped by Quraysh in the time of the Prophet Muhammad. The time of Prophet Nuh represents a pivotal moment in human history where shirk became prevalent. The Quran presents Prophet Nuh as a harbinger of monotheism in an age riddled with idolatry, emphasizing the enduring struggle against shirk. "We sent Nuh to his people. He said, 'My people, serve God. You have no God other than Him. I fear for you the punishment of a fearsome day.' And so he turned away from them, saying, 'My people, I delivered my Lord's messages to you and gave you sincere advice, but you do not like those who gave sincere advice.'" Interestingly, the Quran characterizes the shirk during Nuh's era as not merely a matter of misguided personal belief, but a societal issue entwined with tradition and ancestry. But the prominent disbelievers among his people said, "We can see that you are nothing but a mortal like ourselves, and it is clear to see that only the vilest amongst us follow you. We cannot see how you are any better than we are. In fact, we think you are a liar. Allah continued his message of Tawheed to humanity in all ages. He revealed to the Prophet Ibrahim, remember when Abraham told his father Azar, how can you take idols as gods? I see that you and your people have gone astray. In this way, we showed Abraham Allah's mighty dominion over the heavens and earth, so that he may be a firm believer. Allah also revealed the 10 Commandments to the Prophet Musa with clear parameters of worshipping Allah alone. I am the Lord your God. You shall have no gods before me. You shall not make a carved image or likeness of anything in heaven above, the earth beneath, or the waters under the earth. You shall not bow down to or serve them. Jesus also declared, surely Allah is my Lord and your Lord, so worship Him alone. This is the straight path. Shirk is not just a historical issue, it remains a present and pressing concern. It includes both major shirk, shirk al-akbar, overt acts of worship directed to others, and minor shirk, shirk al-asghar, subtle forms like showing off in acts of worship. Allah says, do not call on any other God with Allah. There is no God but Him. Everything will perish except His face. The judgment is His, and to Him you shall be returned. Shirk involves associating partners with Allah in His exclusive domains of lordship, worship, or His unique names and attributes. It encompasses various forms, whether overt, subtle, major or minor, including any entity, divine or mortal, in worship or attributing Allah's unique characteristics to them is unequivocal shirk. Even if someone claims they haven't equated that entity with Allah, by invoking them in acts of worship or attributing divine qualities to them and having an expectation of benefit, they essentially establish a parity that violates the principle of monotheism. And when they embark on a ship, they invoke Allah, making their faith pure for Him only. But when He brings them safely to land, behold, they give a share of their worship to others. Therefore, it is crucial to remain vigilant against such theological errors and ensuring Allah's exclusivity in all aspects of faith and worship. Recognizing and avoiding shirk is essential for preserving the integrity of one's faith. Regardless of how it is performed, shirk is a grave sin that negates the faith. One must be extremely careful in this regard. And it has been revealed to you as it was to those before you. If you include others in worship with Allah, surely all your deeds will be in vain, and you will certainly be among the losers. Shirk, or associating partners with Allah, is an unforgivable sin if one dies without repenting from it. Shirk directly violates the fundamental principle of Tawheed, the oneness and uniqueness of Allah. This is not just a theological concept, but the very foundation of our faith. Allah repeatedly emphasizes His singularity and exclusive right to be worshipped throughout the Quran. Allah says, say, He is Allah, one, Allah, the eternal refuge. He neither begets nor is born, nor is there to Him any equivalent. And I did not create the jinn and mankind except to worship me. Common mistakes that can lead to shirk, like venerating, ascribing divinity to, invoking, whether they be prophets, holy men, dead or alive, and conjectures, undermine this divine purpose, which is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. This act is not just a mistake, but a profound betrayal of our Creator, who expects nothing less than pure obedience to Him alone. Allah says, and when my slaves ask you concerning me, then I am indeed near to them. I respond to the invocations of the supplicant when he calls on me. So let them obey me and believe in me so they may be led aright. And Allah says, and indeed we have created man, and we know what his own self whispers to him, and we are nearer to him than his jugular vein. Shirk involves attributing divine qualities to others besides Allah, denying His absolute sovereignty, omnipotence, and unique attributes. This is explicitly condemned in the Quran. So worship Allah, being sincere to Him in religion. Unquestionably, Allah, to worship Him alone, is the pure religion. Shirk is not just any sin, it is the gravest of all sins, with severe and eternal consequences in the afterlife. Allah has explicitly stated that it is a sin He will not forgive if one dies without repenting. Indeed, Allah does not forgive association with Him, but He forgives what is less than that. And he who associates others with Allah has certainly fabricated a tremendous sin. Understand this. The acceptance of all good deeds hinges on the foundation of Tawheed. Shirk nullifies every single deed, reducing them to worthless dust. Allah says, "And we will regard what they have done of deeds and make them as dust, dispersed." Allah, as the creator and sustainer of the universe, has the exclusive right to be worshipped. Directing acts of worship to others is not just an error, it is a profound injustice and a betrayal. This is powerfully articulated in the Quran. That is because Allah is the truth, and that which they call upon other than Him is falsehood, and because Allah is the Most High, the Grand. Shirk is an unforgivable sin if unrepented, because it fundamentally opposes the core tenets of Islam, negating the purpose of creation and undermines Allah's sovereignty and unique attributes. By committing shirk, one destroys the very foundation of the relationship between the Creator and His creation. The gravity of shirk is immense. It is not merely a theological error, but a fatal spiritual misstep that leads to eternal damnation if not sincerely repented. Allah says, "Is not Allah sufficient for His slave? Yet they try to frighten you with those whom they worship besides Him. And whom Allah sends astray, for him there will be no guide, and whomever Allah guides, for him there will be no misleader. Is not Allah Almighty possessor of retribution?" And Allah says, "He is the ever-living, none has the right to be worshipped but He. So invoke Him, making your worship pure for Him alone. All the praise and thanks be to Allah, the Lord of the Alameen." Let this reality sink in, that only Allah is ever living and lives on and capable of hearing and doing, which is impossible for anything or anyone else who is mortal. Allah says categorically that no one can do anything or has any power over anything or anyone except Him alone. Allah says, "Nor are alike the living and the dead. Verily, Allah makes whom He wills to hear, but you cannot hear those in the grave. You are only a warner." Shirk is a direct affront to Allah's supremacy and a path that leads only to ruin. Stay vigilant, keep your faith pure, and always direct your worship solely to Allah, the one and only. The risk of ascribing divinity to other beings is significant, as Allah has closed the door of forgiveness. One must contemplate deeply before moving one's focus away from the Creator of all things to the creation, who are in constant need of Allah all the time.